All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Third String Takes. I'm your host, Alex, and as always, I have the magnificent and wonderful Brandon with me. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing,
Brandon,
Alex?
I heard that you went out last night. Is that true?
I did.
You're
I
not even the
did. I
going out
did.
kind. And
I'm not.
are
I've
you've
been.
hit 30
I've
yet or no?
no.
No. Okay, so you're just still going out in your 20s, living the best life. You're probably waking up with no hangover still, huh?
That part is starting to kick in. The hangover, the stamina and the conditioning is not what it used to be. But we still got to keep kicking, like LeBron. I'm at the end of my career, but we still got to keep it
End
going.
of your career is crazy, bro. Um, Okay, so on to the most wonderful and magnificent sport ever created by mankind. We
Ever.
wanted to go through each of the big conferences in college
Yes.
football and kind of go through what the expectations are against what their total win projections are. Now, we're using FanDuel projections, and as of today, it's the 20th of April.
Yep.
So if these numbers change as the season gets closer and as spring kind of develops for a lot of these teams where the starters are going to get established and spring portal closes, I imagine that these win totals will probably fluctuate. But if you're hearing this in the end of April, first of all, we love you for it. Thanks for tuning
Hmm.
in. And I'm gonna dive right in. Let's go. Let's start off. I'm gonna go alphabetical, semi-alphabetical.
Okay.
Illinois started the season pretty lackluster, considering the high expectations for Luke Altmaier, and they finished with
Yep.
arguably some of the most momentum in the Big Ten.
Yes.
How do you feel about Illinois?
I look at the schedule and I don't see it being overly difficult. There's some games on there that are definitely winnable. You got Western Illinois, Western Michigan, Rutgers, Maryland, Northwestern, Purdue. Those right there, I mean, definitely leaning more towards the Illinois side. And then, you got some toss-ups. You got the USC game, you got the Duke game, Washington, Wisconsin doesn't look as great as they have in the past. It looks like they might be in for a down year too. And then I was looking at the Illinois roster just now. It seems like really they have a lot of guys returning. They got the West Virginia receiver Hudson Clement, and he was good for West Virginia. I think he was the best receiver at WVU. Um, and they have Altmaier still. Like we were talking about it earlier, the experience really matters so much in college football. So if you're able to retain a big group and move forward, then it's a plus. And the schedule doesn't look too difficult.
What I see is Luke Altmaier entering his third year as a starter, and he has even more experience beyond that. I look at their schedule, and it's actually pretty difficult. 7.5
You
wins.
think so?
For the record, that's what we have on FanDuel. We got 7.5 win total. I I am leaning slightly towards the over, and the reason why is because I feel like they have. I mean, at the end of the day, the more snap counts you have as a starter,
Yes.
the better your team is going to be with experience. That's just
Yep.
how it goes. Let's look at the big games. I got Duke, Indiana, Washington, Wisconsin on the road. That is no joke. Duke, and now they got Darian Mensah from Tulane. They are a team. They're kind of a team to be scared of, I would say, preseason. And then Indiana, obviously, we saw what they did last year. And then at home, they have two powerhouses, too. They got USC and OSU within a couple weeks of each other. There's a reason they're at 7.5, and I am slightly taking the over. What do you got, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over.
Okay. I like
Yep.
Illinois looks good. I think no one's going to take the under. Hopping over to
No.
Indiana. For Indiana, 17 total incoming transfers.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
they have I think more than one QB incoming, right? Am I mistaken? I know they got that kid from Cal, Fernando Mendoza. They have a lot of kids coming in. Out of those 17, I don't know how many are projected to be starters. They probably don't even know how many are projected to be starters. What I'm also seeing against other teams in the Big Ten, Indiana's schedule is nothing crazy. Obviously,
It's
a
not.
little harder than last year. They got on
Yeah.
the road at Oregon, on the road at Penn State, even on the road at Iowa is going to be difficult. Hosting Illinois at home, and then you have a whole bunch of lackluster teams also being hosted at home. I don't think they're going to get 11, but 8.5.
No.
8.5
Yeah.
is still for me. I still think 8.5 is a little bit high. Granted, the turnover you have. Talk to me. What do you feel?
I feel the same way. Over like I'm 8.5 is a reasonable line. They don't hit the 11 again. But they continue to build on the momentum. I think, a lot of people that were in the transfer portal saw what Indiana had going on. I definitely think they have some NIL backing more than they ever have before. I love the transfer from Cal, the QB, Fernando Mendoza. And then they also got Tyler Morris out of Michigan, our guy, in the receiver room. So that's good too. But yeah, no, I think they continue to build. I mean, they had some big name transfers. They got Roman Hemby as well, Tyler Morris, like I just said. I'm looking at the list or the roster right now, and there's definitely some guys on there that I think can definitely make an impact right off the rip for sure. So I think they do go over 8.5.
Okay.
And I like you were saying that those home games. I mean, they all look pretty winnable.
I actually have them under slightly. I have them at 8 wins this season. I think on the road, I think Iowa is a sleeper, and Oregon, Penn State. I mean, we have to see.
Well, you also
obviously
have Purdue and Maryland.
Yeah, it's just on the road they have 3 I would say powerhouse teams they have to face on the road. Iowa is never a joke when you're visiting them. And then Illinois at home is just going to be an issue. So I see them producing. I mean, hey, having 8 wins on that program is still great. 11 was obscene. Iowa. 3 returning starters on offensive line. And we also have the addition of an all-American O-line from a D2 program. His name is Bryce George. 12 non-returning starters out of 22.
Yeah. They lost Luke Lachey. They lost Caleb Johnson.
I mean, Caleb Johnson had like 60% of their offense, I think, if I remember correctly. Kamari Moulton is supposed to be the big name next up, running back, workhorse, whatever. I think 7.5 wins, when you have lost as much talent as you have, I think
it's kind of
maybe FanDuel's trying to tell us something here.
Well, they also got that quarterback out of South Dakota State, Mark Gronowski, and he was really good. He won the championship game 2 years in a row, MVP both times. In the FCS. That could translate. We've seen a lot of good quarterbacks come out of the FCS. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those teams that definitely I feel like you can judge better once you're able to see them play for sure. But they definitely got some transfers. I know they lost a lot, but I do understand the 7.5 win total, but I don't know. I feel like I'd need to see more out of them. I don't have enough trust. I do understand that there's some talent that comes out of those D2 in those FCS schools, but I need to see more.
Yeah, I highlighted all of their road games. I've got Iowa State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, USC, Nebraska.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Wisconsin, Nebraska have not been the powerhouses that they should be, but still, those are not easy wins for any team.
You got the Iowa State game. Yeah. That's a rivalry.
And then listen to the back half of their home games. They're hosting Penn State, Minnesota, Oregon, Michigan State. I mean, Iowa has a lot of work to do. I know Iowa is a 6-win team every year. I know it. I've seen it. I've been following Big Ten for a long time. I have them at 6 wins. 7.5 is insane. 8 wins with this team when you have no idea. You got 12 non-returning starters. I don't know. This is a completely new team. I feel like 7.5 is way high for projection.
Yeah, I mean, I put down that I think they get 5 wins.
5 wins sounds reasonable. I got 6. I'm just being a little more optimistic. Let's head over more local. Maryland.
Our neighbors.
Maryland is in a very difficult situation right now. They lost Billy Edwards to Wisconsin, which I didn't even know that's kosher to do. Granted, you're going from one Big Ten school to another to be able to play against your old team. I don't even know. Let's see. Maryland is not hosting. Oh my God. They're literally going to Wisconsin. I don't know how this plays out.
That's going to be crazy.
It just seems, and it's early. It's their first away game. They lost both of their starting linebackers. They lost 2 starting offensive linemen. I mean, Maryland is in shambles actually right now. And they
lost so much.
4.5 is what FanDuel has. Brandon, tell me what you think about 4.5. Honest to God.
4.5. I understand the line. Last year I think they got like 5 wins. They lost Billy Edwards. They lost Roman Hemby. They lost Ty Felton. They lost the other starting receiver. I'm blanking on his name, but he also is entering the draft. Mike Locksley is like on the hot seat.
Without a doubt, his last year. Without a doubt, this is going to be one of those seasons. If he starts 0-3, he's out.
Exactly.
If he starts 0-3,
when that happens, like, what do? You pretty much just self-destruct as a program when you fire the coach that early on in the season.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where I think
be a tank. Yeah,
exactly. At that point, you're trying to like evaluate the talent that you do have on the roster, the younger guys. You're trying to kind of find that momentum to go into the next season. But this season, man, maybe they can get a win out of FAU, Northern Illinois, and Towson. But every other game, I mean, I really don't see them. Of course, it's college football. That's what makes the sport so beautiful is the upsets and the surprises and all that. But
just wait till we get to Purdue. Just wait.
They lost. Yeah, they lost too much, man. I'm going with. I think they get 3 wins.
I didn't highlight a lot of games on this schedule because the way I look at this, I highlighted games I thought that they have a chance of winning. I got one
Yeah.
game on the road. I feel like they have a real chance of winning. That's at Rutgers. Aiden Kaliakmanis, not necessarily the best, the most consistent. So I don't know. Maryland, maybe they can do a surprise. At home, Nebraska, maybe. Michigan State, maybe. Aiden Childs is no joke. FAU, Northern Illinois, these are not easy teams to win either. For the record, out of
Nope.
conference, Northern Illinois being obviously their most significant win in the last year was against Notre Dame on the road. So they are
Yeah.
not any joke. They're not a breeze. Maryland,
That
4.5
shouldn't be.
wins.
Yeah,
What do
it's
you
one
have,
of those
over or
things
under?
where I'm going. Yeah, I'm going under 3 wins.
I got 4. I still have under, and it's 4. Again,
Yeah.
a little more optimistic than you. Towson, obviously, being the one game that I'm hoping, I think they'll win, guaranteed. But who knows at this point. All right, Minnesota. Minnesota.
Minnesota.
What do you like about Minnesota, Brandon?
Coy Parrish. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
I don't even know if Coy Parrish is he. I obviously we know Caleb Downs exists, but is he probably top?
He's a sophomore, right?
Yes, he's officially going to be he's a true sophomore. No, he might be top 4 safety in the league next season. I saw him line up against Tyler Warren last year in that 1-point victory that Penn State had, where they had to fake a punt to win.
Yep.
Coy Parrish was all over Tyler Warren. Darius Taylor's returning.
Yep.
You got Drake Lindsay incoming also, right?
Yep.
That was the major pickup.
That was, and he came from. I'm trying to remember. Let me see if I can just pull it up quickly.
Yeah, I love Minnesota as a program. I think as an identity, they know exactly what they are. They're run downhill, run first offense. If they can get a solid quarterback who can also make plays on third down, like scrambling on third down, they would be set. They would win games. PJ Fleck is a great head coach.
You love him.
I vividly remember, PJ Fleck beating Penn State and effectively ruining their chances of going to the college football playoff not too long ago. I'm not a diehard fan of Minnesota, but I look at their schedule. I see that they're hosting Rutgers, Nebraska, Wisconsin. I'm looking beyond their gimmies. Obviously, they're hosting Purdue and Michigan State, which is a joke. The tough ones on the road. Obviously, OSU, obviously Iowa, obviously Oregon, the same ones that are going to be tough on the road for every team. Minnesota's wins are lower, 6.5. I have them over because it's just, for me, 6.5 with this with that team comp that you have, it's too low. 7 is too easy to hit for that team. It feels like. Now, granted, it's been tough to hit as of late. They're losing 1-possession games left and right. A few bad decisions. I like their over still. What do you got, Brandon?
I like the over too. You look at the roster; they got a lot of guys returning. I think they built a lot on what they did last year. The defense looked good, obviously with Coy Parrish leading them, and I think they continue to build there. Their impact players on offense are coming back. Darius Taylor, Drake Lindsay, the redshirt freshman, is going to give it a start. I know they lost Max Brosmer, but I do think Drake Lindsay was, it seems like they got trust in him, for a redshirt freshman to come in and start. I think that was kind of the plan all along. I see there's 2 other sophomores on the roster, so looks like they're going to go ahead and ride with Lindsay. But yeah, no, I think that this is an offense and a team that just, has a lot of pieces that are impact pieces that are coming back. And yeah, I do like the over 6.5. I'm taking the over as well.
I think it's too low of a line for me. It's just it doesn't.
I was
make
gonna say
sense.
because the home games,
they could sweep at home. They could sweep at home. They could actually sweep.
Yeah,
at home.
that's what I'm looking at right now. I mean, other than those 3 that you highlighted,
Buffalo,
Northwestern State, Purdue, and Michigan State, I feel like those are almost locks. I do understand Michigan State's probably building on the momentum that they had last year, but still, I'm gonna say that those 4 are locks. And then their tough away or their kind of more gimme away games are Cal and Northwestern. So that puts them at 7 right there.
It's worth looking into maybe a little bit why Vegas has them so low. It has to be a reason.
Or excuse me, puts them at 6. But yeah, that puts them at 6 right there, and then they just need to toss it.
And they just need one. And they just need one.
Yeah.
And then maybe they just think that Minnesota can't win the big games. Let's head over to Michigan.
Oh, man.
And this line surprised me. I was actually very surprised. Before we do the line, let's talk about their updates. Obviously, we don't need to talk about Bryce Underwood too much, obviously. But they also brought another Fresno State transfer. So at least they're going to have QB. They're going to have a QB battle, even though I'm pretty sure Bryce Underwood is still the projected starter. They didn't really lose anyone to the portal as far as starters go either, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, not like a significant amount. They lost Tyler Morris, the receiver. They lost Marvian Walker, another receiver, but he really didn't get much playing time. He was kind of hurt a lot.
No,
They lost Cole Cabana, another running back, but he also was kind of deep on the depth chart. But they do have they got the transfer from Alabama, the running back, and he was like one of the highly touted transfers during the portal.
The biggest losses are going to be to the draft.
The Ross,
Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Josiah Stewart, Kenneth Grant. I mean, these are truly these are NFL starters. So
Colston Loveland.
Your defense is going to be a shell of its former self. That same defense,
unfortunately,
that same defense that held Ohio State to 10 points at home is not going to be there next season. So it makes sense, maybe, if we take a second to look at the win totals, 8.5. I want you to tell me what you think about that win total.
So when we were looking at this initially, I did say under, but the more and more time that I spend with it, and after reviewing all of the Big Ten teams as well, I am starting to lean more towards the over. I do understand that they lost a lot of guys, like you were saying, Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Josiah Stewart, Will Johnson, but they also retained some guys, Jay Sean Barham, Rod Moore, Rayshawn Benny. All those guys on defense are impact players, and I think there's going to be other players on that defense that step up naturally. You know, they still have their DC, Wink Martindale, who did a fantastic job coaching them up this past season. And they brought in a new OC for the offense, which was completely abysmal last year. They got Mikey Keene, and Bryce Underwood. I know Mikey Keene's hurt right now, so he's not practicing too much, I don't believe, or he's not practicing at all. I don't know. I do feel like they hit the over. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but I like them for the over.
You know what? I look at the schedule, and what makes me really nervous is playing Oklahoma on the road early.
Yeah, that was – I didn't like that on the schedule.
Brett Venables is – he is no joke at home. And now he's got John Mateer. He's got Washington State QB. We all know what happened to the last Washington State QB who transferred out. His name is Cam Ward. Let's look at their schedule really quick. What doesn't scare me is their home games. I have no doubt in any of these home games. New Mexico, Central Michigan, Wisconsin, Washington, I didn't highlight it. Ohio State being the toughest. Obviously, Ohio State also, they're on a little bit of a streak. Away games. This is where I get scared. Oklahoma on the road. Early.
I think that's like week 3, right? Week 2 or week 3.
Yeah, and I granted those 2 fluff weeks that they'll have leading into it. Michigan should have enough snaps for Bryce Underwood to have some confidence, but this is no joke. Traveling to Oklahoma is no joke, and Brett Venables is going to be ready for it, so they better be ready too. Nebraska on the road, I highlighted that too. Sleeper. That is a sleeper road game that they need to be very wary of. USC I should have highlighted, I didn't. Michigan State I also highlighted too. Aiden Childs is, obviously he's got a lot of experience too.
We were watching that tape the other day and he looked fantastic.
I still have him on the over, but it's barely. I got him at 9 wins this season.
Yeah, I'd as far as the over goes, like not too much above. I know there's only 12 games in the season, but I'd probably 9 wins. Yeah.
I see, late in the season, a couple of away games, Northwestern, Maryland, and then they got a Purdue at home too. So obviously they're trying to give them a little bit of fluff for the end of the season. It could be a strategy that if they lose Oklahoma early, same way that, theoretically, if you want to take a step back, the same way Notre Dame lost early, you can still have that, and it'll be fine. And people will forget about it, but it has to happen early. So they're kind of lucky with this Oklahoma happening early. Let's go to their rival. Let's go to Michigan State. I got Aiden Childs and Nick Marsh. That's it.
And they're so fun to watch. Like honestly, you can see there's something there. Aiden Childs is no joke. You and me both were just in awe about his pocket presence. I mean, the way he was delivering the ball while anticipating the hits, it was really fun to watch. I am curious to see how they do this year. The schedule isn't. I'm looking at it again right now. It's not overly difficult in comparison to other teams that are playing Big Ten teams. Like the only tough Big Ten matchup that I see, or I guess there's Penn State on there too. So they got Michigan, Penn State, Nebraska. Those are probably the toughest opponents.
Truly, I didn't highlight Penn State. I don't think they have a chance. The ones I look at, I mean, Michigan State is on a little bit of a different caliber. They're at 5.5 total wins. I see the ones that I highlighted are Boston College at home, sneaky good team when they need to be. UCLA also, if Nico decides. That would be his next home. Michigan, obviously, tough game at home. Still winnable because of the rivalry. And then,
Yes.
And then on the road, I have Nebraska. Obviously, I mean, Indiana's not going to be any joke. I don't see them beating Indiana, though. And then I also have Minnesota and Iowa highlighted because, again, winnable. I've seen it before. Michigan State 5.5 wins. Do you have the over the under?
I'm gonna go under.
Okay.
Like they're one of those exciting they're one of those exciting like bad teams, you know. I do think that games are gonna be close. I really don't think it's gonna be like they're gonna be as bad as they were last year. I think they have something special going on a bit, something that they can build on. I think the games that they do lose are gonna be close, but ultimately, yeah, I'm gonna go with the under. Because like their impact players, like Childs and Nick Marsh, like those guys are still young. I know they have a couple transfers that are, you know, coming in from other schools that are older, but, you know, it's just one of those things where when your impact players are younger, they're still going to be impactful, but there's just going to be those mental lapses that are just noticeable. So I think that's kind of where they stand.
Yeah, I have them on the over. I have them very barely on the over. Obviously, as you can see, there's a trend. I'm a little more optimistic about these teams, but I wouldn't argue against the under either. I mean, if Aiden Childs doesn't perform the way he's supposed to. Let's go to Nebraska. Matt
this team is just they're one of those off-season darlings, you know? Everybody's so curious about this damn program.
Yeah, lots of acquisitions. They got Dane Key, the wide receiver from Kentucky. They got 2 new starting offensive linemen who are elite. I say that quote unquote. Matt Rule's 4th year. Everyone always talked about how Matt Rule has 3 years to start his program. So once his programs enter their 3rd year, that's when they excel. And his version of excel is being 6-6. I listened to an interview between Josh Pate and Matt Rule the other day, and this dude, all he did was hype himself up by saying that, oh man, we went to a bowl game for the first time in X number of years. I mean, Nebraska was a 9-3 team consistently when I was going to school. And they work. They sell out their home stadium. For a reason. They sell out every single game.
They have a passionate fan base. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're telling me 6-6 is anyway, I'm gonna say Matt Rule's on a hot seat too this year. So all those acquisitions they had in the portal, they better show up, because you got Dylan Raiola also, who's this freshman phenom last year. Now he's entering his 2nd year as a starter. I mean, it's right here in front of you. You have this plate. You have these cards that you've stacked for yourself in front of you. What do you have? You got Michigan at home, Michigan State at home, USC, Iowa. This is a tough home schedule. And then on the road, it's not easy either. Minnesota and Penn State, I highlighted. I mean, UCLA is going to be very difficult too if Nico decides to join there. This is 7.5 wins only because it's in Matt Rule's 4th year. I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under this year. I've seen enough from Matt Rule to know if he's telling me he peaked after 3 years and your peak is 6-6, I'm good. I know how this is going to go. It's going to be another mid-year. And even still, I have him at 7 total wins. That's my best projection. That's 7-5. That's 1 more win than last year. And if he stays as a head coach again, I'm going to feel sad for the Nebraska fans.
The Matt Rule, you're just not a big fan of him. I know, which I understand. I'm not the most fond of him either.
We can have another episode about coaches if you'd like. But Matt Rule, I have a lot of thoughts about this guy because he is just,
I would love to do that.
My God. I could talk for 20 minutes about John Summerall with you. Let's continue. What do you got for Nebraska, over or under here?
For Nebraska, I'm going to go with the over, actually.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah.
You think the schedule's cupcake or what?
I think the schedule. So I do think they got four victories at home.
Cincinnati's not going to be easy. Cincinnati is not going to be easy.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, no, they're not a lock. They're not a lock, right?
No.
But like when you look
Akron,
at the home schedule,
maybe
really,
Houston,
like,
Christian, sure.
The only tough one I see at the home schedule, like honestly, like they can compete with every other team, but the only tough one that I see is Michigan.
No, USC. I mean, you're right, absolutely. Michigan is the tough one, but USC is going to be difficult. They're going to produce a lot of offense, and Nebraska, who just lost their defensive coordinator. It was actually, they demoted Marcus Satterfield, their offensive coordinator, and they replaced him with Dana Holgorsen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Don't know who these guys are. It said that Holgorsen had been working as an offensive consultant for TCU and had previously served as the offensive coordinator at Texas Tech, Houston, Oklahoma State. Okay, so Big 12 guy. I mean, it's too much. There's too many question marks, Brandon. There's too many question marks. I don't know how this team is going to be. And there's no way you're going to tell me that they're hitting 8 wins minimum. I see this team peaking at 7 wins, even if they're firing on all cylinders. Minnesota is no joke on the road. Penn State, no joke on the road. Michigan, no joke at home. Aiden Childs, dude, you're going to tell me that Iowa's not going to put up a fight at the end of the season against Nebraska? This team is going to struggle. They're going to struggle. And they have been struggling for 3 years. Let's move on. We spent too much time on this dog shit program. Let's get back to some good teams. Let's get back to some better teams. Ohio State with a crazy win projection, by the way. 16 total starters are gone.
Yeah, didn't we? Yeah, we noticed that they lost a lot.
4 offensive linemen starters gone. 3 of them to the NFL. 2 cornerbacks. Obviously, Emeka Egbuka's gone. Obviously, Will Howard's gone. Both of their starting running backs. Starting middle linebacker. All 4 of their defensive linemen. Their entire front 4. Gone. And then a strong safety's gone. What does that leave? Caleb Downs is still the best defensive player in the country. There's no argument about it. I mean, you could argue about it. I wouldn't. Schedule. I want to look at their schedule. Let's take a look for a second here. I got Texas at home early. I got Washington on the road early. Illinois on the road early. Obviously, Grambling, whatever, Ohio. You got the easy. You got the gimmies. You got the cupcakes. You also have Penn State at home, which I know they're going to win, but it's going to be tough. So a lot of these games.
Penn State. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. I know. I've seen this. I've seen that game too many times. I know how it goes.
Yeah. I know. I wasn't gonna. Yeah.
UCLA at home, going to put up a fight. I mean, this schedule is not easy at all. Washington on the road, Illinois on the road. I mean, Texas is going to be tough, even if it's at home. It's Sark coming to visit you. He's going to put up a fight. You got Michigan on the road, end of the season. Wisconsin on the road is still going to be an issue if it's under the lights. Ohio State, 10.5 wins. What do you got? Over, under?
I'm going under. They lost way too much, man. They lost Denzel Burke. They lost both of their running backs. They lost Will Howard. They lost Emeka Egbuka. Like that, really, the only impact players. It's too much turnover. It really is. Like you were saying, their whole line, Jack Sawyer, who was like the heart and soul of that defense. It looked like at that one point. Of course, they still have Caleb Downs. They still got Jeremiah Smith. They got the transfer from West Virginia, C.J. Donaldson, coming in for the running back position. It looks like him and James Peoples are going to split carries. They have a really good. They got some good freshmen coming in, of course. But I mean, how often are they going to? All these guys going to come in and make a day one impact? I really don't know. I know they have the redshirt freshman Julian Sayin. He's going to be playing. We'll see how well he does. I know there's kind of still like a quarterback battle going on. They're saying, but for the most part, it looks like Julian Sayin is going to start out the season. But yeah, I'm going under.
Yeah, I'm with you on the under. Can we just both acknowledge that the only reason they have the 10.5 is because they have, I'm going to say arguably, but they have arguably the best defensive player in the country and the best offensive player in the country on the roster.
As of this offseason, I think that's not even a debatably thing. That's a fact. That's the fact right now.
And they get 10.5 wins just because of that. I'm going to make that argument. You get 10.5 because of that and Ryan Day. Obviously, they're reigning champions, so their numbers are going to be inflated too. But we saw what happened to Michigan after they won the championship, and then they lost their entire starting roster, including their starting quarterback, who, by the way, Will Howard wasn't bad. Didn't he win MVP of the game? Let's head over to Oregon.
Eugene.
This is such a weird line to me too, considering the turnover. They have
10.5, right?
We got 3 transfers on offensive line. They've made moves. That being said, they have 2 returning starters on defense. So they lost a lot of talent as well. Not to say that their defense was elite in any way, shape, or form, but FanDuel has them at 10.5 wins. Brandon, tell me what you think about Oregon.
Oregon, they lost some guys too. They lost Taz Johnson. They lost Jordan James, Dylan Gabriel. But I do think they're just one of those programs that just knows how to, get things done. They know how to kind of continue to build on what they had. I think they do a good job with player development as well. They don't have like as many transfers as some of these other like big name programs, I feel like. And I know they got DeCorian Moore, who is a highly touted recruit. I think he was a 5-star, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been like one of the top ranked receivers in the class. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of impact he has this year. I know they're saying that they expect him to have one for sure. Looking at their schedule, I know I said over originally. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with the over. Yeah.
I got him on the under. I
Yeah.
I think that this team,
Well, I mean,
with their selection of out of conference games and with the cards that they were dealt on the road, I think 10.5 wins will be too difficult for them. Let's look at 3 games on the road. Penn State, going to be difficult. Not saying they're not going to win, going to be very difficult.
yes.
Iowa, going to be very difficult. And Washington, I'm going to say that that's their rival. That game is going to be difficult too. Speaking of rivals, they're also hosting Oregon State at home. They're hosting Oklahoma State at home, which obviously Oklahoma State is not the force they used to be.
Yeah.
And they also have USC at home too. I think there's too many games for me to reasonably take a step back and be like, yeah, this is an 11-win regular season team. This is going to be a very difficult 11-win team. I got them on the under for that reason.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
I love Oregon. I love Dan Lanning.
I love
for the
Dan
record.
Lanning,
I
too.
think he's going to win a national championship at some point with that program. There's no doubt in my mind that the way I saw him attack Penn State in the Big Ten championship, the way I saw him attack Ohio State during the regular season, that game was very well coached. I don't know what happened in the second game. Jeremy Smith just went bananas.
The bastard.
Oh boy, Penn State.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. I'm grabbing my laptop charger, but I'm listening. Go ahead. Do your spiel, Shahad.
I got you. Penn State. What happened to Penn State in the offseason? I have not been as good of a fan as I should be. They're returning a lot of starters, okay? That's both of the running backs. As Katron is coming back. You got Nick Singleton coming back. And then Drew Aller also coming back. Returning a lot of starters on offense. I mean, they basically only lost Tyler Warren, really. Omari Evans is gone. He transferred out. But really, I don't know if we use the wide receivers, Omari Evans, and the Ohio State transfer. I forgot his name at the moment. New wide receiver core, and they picked him up from Troy, picked the guy up from Troy, they picked a guy up from USC. Here's my issue. Penn State, 10.5 wins. I look at this the same way I look at Oregon. Very objectively, let's look at their schedule. Nevada, FIU, Villanova at home, whatever, Northwestern, Indiana, Nebraska. They actually have a cupcake schedule at home. That's 6 games, no problem. Obviously, I didn't mention Oregon because that's one of their, interesting games. Away gets a little bit trickier. Away at UCLA, at Iowa, at OSU. Not to say Michigan State and Rutgers are not going to be difficult. I'm sure Rutgers will be. I don't know. I see the Ohio State as an auto loss, so that goes down between Iowa, on the road at Iowa, on the road at UCLA, and at home at Oregon. And to tell me that they need to win all 3 of those, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I see them winning 2 out of 3. That puts them at 10 wins. I got them on the under. I'm going to be very objective here. Penn State looks like a 10-win team. With the amount that they lost on defense, you're losing some key starters, some key players. Forget Abdul Carter. Kevin Winston's gone too. Kevin Winston Jr.
And so is Jalen Reed.
And so is Jalen Reed. I mean, you have that's your
That's
DB room
defense.
your DB room just got a lot thinner, my friend. And
And I think sorry to cut you off, but like the DNA of those teams that like have that are run heavy, the play style that Penn State had, that possession type of football, they need that hammer of a defense. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the driving force behind the success of the offense a bit.
yeah.
So
A lot of, they also lost Kobe King too. Not to say that that's a huge loss, but you have a linebacker who had years of experience under his belt. I would say that Dennis Sutton staying with the team is incredibly helpful because, he was such a playmaker. Just look at the Notre Dame game. He went completely crazy in that game too. So they obviously can still build around, and they still have, they hired Jim Knowles as their defensive coordinator. They got Kodal Nicky for another year on offense. What is this team's identity? Drew Aller was unable to perform under pressure. We'll save this for another time. Drew Aller needs to develop. I love you so much. Drew Aller needs to develop. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that even with another year. Okay, I've got Rutgers next on the list.
let's go.
It's so weird.
I'll let you do your thing on that one.
Yeah,
I feel like you're more familiar with them than I am.
No, it's not that I'm familiar. What happened was when Rutgers joined the Big Ten back in like 2013, I think it was, that first season, Christian Hackenberg, we had, I think it was one of James Franklin's first seasons, I want to say, potentially. It might have still been Bill O'Brien, but really it was just like a period where we went to Rutgers, we won 10-7. It was a grinding win. It was awful. I've been following Rutgers ever since. I don't know why, but I really like Kyle Monangai last year too. He was like a ton. He created a ton, more than 50% of their offense, basically. He created opportunity for Aiden Kaliakmanis, who was a transfer from Minnesota. I really like Kaliakmanis. For one, I love saying his last name. It's just fun to say. This is his third year as a starter, though. That's secretly and he's been with multiple programs. So now that he's with,
I love that.
Which I love that. I mean, we all know experience is what gets you wins. So we have, and then we got 2 returning starters on defense, and on defense, in addition, they have 6 incoming transfers. So they have made moves that are projected to be starters. I want to go through the schedule, but I want you to tell me what you think about Rutgers. Just taking the outside perspective look.
Listen, the main thing, the quarterback. Obviously, every position is important, but the quarterback is the most important position on a football team. When you have a guy like Kaliakmanis, that's how you say his name, right?
Kaliakmanis.
Kaliakmanis, thank you. When you have a guy like that coming in, starting for what? This is the 3rd year in a row, I think you said he was starting.
Yeah, this is his 3rd year starter.
3rd year starter. He's been on multiple programs. I mean, I feel like that's almost a recipe for success in college football nowadays. If a guy's able to win in different conferences, on different teams, it says something about a guy. If he's able to continuously kind of rally the troops around him, that's important. I know they lost Kyle Menengai, but they have a new running back coming in, the transfer CJ Campbell. Yeah, I mean, the offense looks pretty much intact from last year. The defense, there's where the movement is. Now, it seems like the guys that they lost on defense weren't. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that they were bad or something, but they're not like round 1 guys. They're not even like round 2, round 3 guys as far as the NFL goes and the type of prospects they were. So I feel like the transfers that they have coming in will do a good job of filling in those holes. What did we have them at? 5.5.
5.5 wins on FanDuel. I got Iowa at home, Oregon at home, Penn State at home. On the road at Minnesota, Washington, Illinois, and Ohio State. I have them on the under this season.
Yeah, I'm going with the under.
All of those games I listed, I think will be very difficult for them to win.
They could, yeah. Norfolk State, they played Norfolk State. Michael Vick. That's right. We have Norfolk State too. That's going to be a tough game potentially. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. So another game to watch out for. I think we both have them on the under, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Okay, for UCLA, I want to talk about UCLA from the perspective that Nico Iamaleava is expected to transfer there. Again, I said this is the 20th of April, so if news changes, obviously take this with a grain of salt. But let's take a look at UCLA's roster. We got 2 returning starters on defense, also similar to Rutgers. 7 incoming transfers, however, projected to be starters. So they have completely revamped their defense. And with the addition of Nico, theoretically, they have significantly improved their offensive output ability. Their schedule is terrifying. I'm not even going to lie to you, and I think that's why FanDuel has them at 5.5 wins. But
it's not an easy one.
This is no joke schedule. This is a very difficult schedule.
Utah at home to start it off.
UNLV on the road is going to be difficult. Penn State at home, Nebraska, Washington at home, and then Michigan State's not going to be a cakewalk either. And you're playing
away
at Michigan State, at Indiana, at Ohio State, at USC. That's why their win total is 5.5.
Those 4 right there away are scary.
I actually didn't even do a projection for UCLA.
Yeah. I'm looking at that.
I was too scared to.
It's a close one.
Looking at the schedule, I'm more comfortable saying that they will get 5 wins over them getting 6 because of how difficult that schedule is, especially early. And if they start the season 1-1 or 0-2, 5.5 looks like a long shot at that point, my friend. So I'm going to take the under for that reason.
Yeah, I put the over initially. But no, I'm going to switch that to
just real quick, 10 seconds. Do you like Nico Iamaleava?
Yeah. I mean, he's not bad, right? He's really good. He's really fucking good. He has the what's it called? The intangibles. He's
got grit. It feels like he has grit. Stuff. Yeah. It feels like he has grit.
Yeah. I think he does have grit, but I think he's also just has too many voices in his ear. And bro, to be someone that's like under 20 years old managing all that, like that's just not what they're supposed to be going through. They're supposed to be kind of just worrying about playing ball. Really, that's the reality of college football. That was the reason why people loved it so much, is because, of course, I'm a fan of NIL and I'm a fan of the portal, but there has to be a way that we kind of figure out how to balance it out, because it's taking away, one of the main backbones or factors of why people love this sport so much. And that was the fact that it was these young kids going out there trying to prove their worth. You know what I mean? Versus now, like their worth is already like established and evaluated and determined coming in. So it kind of creates that like mental sort of like lapse a bit, you know, and that off the field stuff carries onto the field. Your teammates in the locker room is going to see all that talk. But I do think I'll get like I think he hears all the noise right now about what everybody's saying, and I think he's going to go into UCLA, you know, understanding that he's just there to play ball. I'm pretty sure the rumor is that he's not getting as much at UCLA as he would have gotten at Tennessee. So it seems like he's come to terms kind of with that, and he learned his lesson or something like that. I don't not to blame him, but just to blame you know all the external factors around him, sort of thing. Yeah, so that's how I feel. I think he can play fucking ball.
And
I do.
9, 10. Perfect. 10 seconds. You nailed it.
There you go.
No, Nico's, I just think he's got a lot of grit. I agree with you 100%. I don't know why his dad is yapping in his ear like that and trying to act like his agent. I don't like that at all.
I get it, but like, yeah.
I mean, he's a kid. He's a kid. Of course, he's going to listen to whatever his dad says to do. So if his dad is going to keep like controlling him like this, I mean, it's going to be a tough few years for him.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Let's go to USC. USC, their win projection is actually just like so indicative of what's been going on with that program. Start us off, Brandon, about USC.
Yeah, they lost 7 starters on defense. They got 3 incoming transfers, 2 incoming transfers on the offensive line. I like Lincoln Riley. Who's their quarterback though? Could you remind me? Do you remember off the top of your?
It's the Polynesian guy.
Yes.
He was the starter second half of the season once they benched Miller Moss.
Thank you. Yes. Let me see their roster one more time.
They
lost a lot.
Yeah, they
as
lost
far as,
a lot.
Like, the impact. Oh yeah, they lost Zachariah Branch.
They lost Zach
Georgia.
Yep. They hired a new general manager, so they have like I think they're.
They're doing that now.
Yeah, I think they're hoping that front office moves will ultimately like show out for them on the field somehow. But the departure of having a quarterback room that is already not already great and having Miller Moss leave, Jordan Mailata. Is it Jaden or Jordan Mailata? I remember the last name. Jaden Mailata. I liked Jaden actually a lot. He like put up points against Notre Dame on that last game. I mean, I had USC plus 7.5 at home last season, which was so tragic. Yeah. But I really do. I love Lincoln Riley. That guy is a whiz. He is a whiz when it comes to offensive play calling. The problem is that he has been given.
Oh, they play Notre Dame again too.
Yeah, okay. That's their rivalry game. They play that every year.
Yeah.
But really, like he has been given some serious talent. Woody Marks, in my opinion, was a top 10 running back last year in the league, and he had Woody Marks, and he didn't. I mean, I don't think that he necessarily utilized him to his full extent every single game. Penn State being obviously the exception, I think he utilized him perfectly. Zachariah Branch, incredible athlete, and you just lost him too. Miller Moss, I think, very, very good quarterback. I think he just needed to develop. He's a young kid.
He had the hype.
He had the hype, and he had the arm talent. There was a reason they were, they were so highly ranked early in the season. The turnovers didn't help. That loss in Minnesota was crazy. Let's look at their schedule. They're hosting Michigan at home. They're hosting UCLA, and they're on the road at Illinois, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Oregon. That's a tough schedule. 7.5 wins sounds about right to me. I still have them on the under. I take them at 7 wins. I got them right on the cusp. Illinois.
I just don't see any impact players on that roster.
No. Yeah. There's at Illinois, at Notre Dame, at Oregon. That's 3 very difficult games to win. And then you're also at Nebraska, which is going to be difficult late in the season once Nebraska has theoretically found their identity. Michigan at home will be very difficult. Iowa at home should be tough. UCLA should be tough at home, obviously. I got them on the under. You got them at the under too?
Yeah, I'm going under.
Okay.
Dude, they might only win. Yeah. Move on.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule. Washington, also in kind of a similar situation. They have, believe it or not, they got 9 incoming defensive transfers. Out of those 9, 6 are projected starters. So more than half of their projected starters are going to be transfers. And then the other, 5, the other 3, I should say, are going to be the backups. There's actually some position groups where they have the starter and the backup. both as transfers, theoretically probably fighting for that position, who's going to be first and second string. I really like Washington as a program.
I know you do.
I think that they're wildly underrated. Wildly. 7.5 is difficult. I still think 8 wins is going to be difficult for them. I see a trip on the road to Washington State early. Granted, they don't have John Mateer anymore. They're going to Michigan, they're going to Wisconsin and UCLA all on the road. At home, they have Ohio State, Illinois, and Oregon. So their home schedule's not even a gimme either. I think that out of those 7 games, I see them I can comfortably say that they win 2. So given the rest of their schedule, that puts them at 7. I actually have them on the under this season. I have Washington under 7.5 wins.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the under as well. I like their quarterback, Damon Williams. I like that he's coming back. They got your boy, Omari Evans.
That's super sad.
I like Steve Belichick too. I know that he's in charge of the defense and all that. And they
Jed
also got
Fish is a great
Scario
coach.
Davis. Yeah, and he's a good coach too. But the schedule is pretty tough.
It's going to be tough to pull out 8
OSU,
wins. They could.
OSU and Oregon at home, and then you got Michigan, Wisconsin, UCLA on the road. Washington State is the rivalry that's on the road. Rutgers, it could be a tough. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm probably going to take the under as well. I need to see more. I don't see enough kind of continuity on the team, and I don't see enough retainment either. So I'm probably going to go with the under.
I'm glad we're both on the same page for that. It just doesn't feel like they can hit that 8 that we want them to hit. Okay, we are on the last team. Congratulations to us. We have Wisconsin left. Wisconsin.
This schedule.
This schedule's crazy. This might be the hardest schedule in the league.
I was going through the notes when we were talking about Washington, and it was one of those things where I blanked out because I was so focused on Wisconsin. I had to look at it again and be like, holy shit, is that really what they're? Yeah.
Now
it's
okay. They have Billy Edwards. They got Maryland QB. So, and they have, and Luke Fickell's a great coach. I still think he's a great coach. I see 3 games on this schedule that I can comfortably say they win. Got Middle Tennessee, Miami of Ohio, and Maryland. Every other game is going to be scary. At Alabama, at Michigan, at Oregon, at Indiana, at Minnesota. And then they're hosting
insane.
Iowa, Ohio State, Washington, Illinois. I mean,
that's insane.
I think
it was one of those things before we even looked at the schedules. You remember how we saw the win-loss total, and you were the whole time when we were doing the brainstorming session, we're going through team by team, and then Wisconsin is at the end of the list, but we're seeing them on everyone else's schedule, and you're like, no, this is a team that it could easily dub it out, and I know that too. They're a great program. But then when we get to Wisconsin, we see the win-loss, so we see the line, and we're like, how? And then we saw the schedule, and we're like, oh.
Yeah, the schedule is pretty disgusting.
They might not win a game away.
No, and they have 12 potential incoming transfers on defense alone. So you have a huge turnover. Wisconsin knows their identity. They do it very well. It's a run-first team, obviously. But the addition of Billy Edwards adds a little bit of spark to the offense. So 5.5 wins, I think the only reason they have that projection is because of the addition of Billy Edwards. I still have them on the under. I think their best projection this season is 5 wins. I think at their best, they get 5 wins.
I almost want to sprint to my phone and punch this in on the only 3 wins I see are those 3 that we named at home: Miami of Ohio, Middle Tennessee, and Maryland.
No, if you're a smart gambling man, what you'll do is you'll wait until they start the season 2-1, 3-1 after those cupcake games, and then that's when you take the under.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up for today. Brandon, thank you so much for joining me as always. It's been a hectic week. We're gonna come back to you guys very soon. So have faith that Alex and Brandon we're going to take care of you guys. Okay. The upcoming week is draft week. We had a nice special episode planned for everyone. And hopefully we can get that out. Fingers crossed we can get it out before the draft actually happens. But it's been an absolute pleasure, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Brandon, last words?
Looking forward to more content. Can't wait to give you all some more. Can't wait for the draft. And yeah,
we love you guys. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is Alex and Brandon out.